Welcome to Penguin Amusement's instructional video on restoring and covering your pool table rails for coin-operated pool tables. This video will show you step-by-step how to restore old, worn-out rails to brand new, better than factory condition. We'll begin by showing you how to strip the old cloth off your used rails. Whether your rail cloth is torn or stained, or your cushion rubber is hard and unresponsive, you'll have to strip the old cloth off the rails before you can begin restoring them. Begin by removing the staples from the backs of each of the used rails. A screwdriver will work fine for this, but a heavy-duty staple puller will make this process quick and painless. If necessary, use a pair of pliers to remove any loose staples. Once all the staples are removed, simply tilt the rail up and strip the cloth from the rail. Now, if the rubber on the rail is hard and unresponsive, simply pull the cushion facings off the ends and strip the rubber from the wooden rail. Before you can glue on new rubber, you must strip off the old glue from the rail by using toluene solvent. Brush on the toluene, making sure to cover all the area where the rubber will attach. Then, using a flat edge of a chisel or other similar tool, scrape off the old glue to reveal a clean wooden surface underneath. Now you are ready to glue on new rubber. There are three main types of rubber that come standard on factory rails. Each type has a different profile, so you must make sure that your replacement rubber matches the original profile. The three main types are U23 profile rubber, which is the smallest of the three, K66 profile, which is slightly larger, and K55 profile, which is the largest of the three. Penguin Amusement carries all three profiles, but Penguin brand replacement rails use K55 rubber, and this profile is the most common. Lay out the rail and the proper rubber on your work surface. Then, spread a generous coat of Penguin brand cushion glue on the back surface of the rubber and on the front surface of the wood. Avoid excessive brushing, as this will thin out the glue too much. Let both surfaces dry for a minute or two. Then place the rubber on the wood. Start on one end, using your thumb to line up the top edge of the rubber with the top of the rail. Once the rubber is attached, press the rubber down firmly to ensure a strong hold. Now you must cut off the excess rubber from the ends of the rail. To do this, line up a ruler or a straight edge with the front edge on the end of the wooden rail. Then draw a line from the edge of the wood to the point of the rubber. Turn the rail and draw another line from the top edge of the rail to the point of the rubber. These two lines should meet. If they don't, measure again and adjust your lines. Repeat the same process with the other end of the rail. Now use an electric carving knife to cut off the excess rubber. Follow the lines you drew to the edge of the wood to get a smooth, accurate cut. Repeat this for both ends of the rail. Next, use Penguin brand cushion glue to attach cushion facings to both ends of the rail. Penguin brand cushion facings come specially cut to fit the ends of your rails. Again, apply a generous amount of glue to the backs of the cushion facings and to the ends of the rail. After a minute or two, use your workbench to line up the bottom of the cushion facing with the bottom of the rail. Press the facing firmly into the wood and repeat this process for the other end. You'll notice that the facings need to be trimmed, so use a pair of scissors to trim down the facings. Then use a sanding block to make sure that the facing sits flush with the edges of the wood and the rubber. Again, repeat for both sides. Now, to make sure that the rubber is flush with the top of the rail, use a sanding block to take off any excess glue or rubber from the top of the rail. It's important that the seam between the rubber and the wood is smooth, because if it's not, the seam will show through the cloth. Also, feel free to use the sanding block to remove any other imperfections on the front or bottom sides of your rail. Sometimes you may have a rail that has good rubber, but one of the threaded fasteners or T-nuts is stripped out or has a broken rail bolt lodged in it. Therefore, it's impossible to tighten the rail onto your pool table. If this happens, there's no need to take off the rubber in order to get at the T-nut. All you need to do is thread a bolt into the problematic T-nut. Then tap the bolt on a hard surface to dislodge the T-nut. Unscrew the bolt and then use a pair of needle nose pliers to pull the T-nut from underneath the rubber. Now use the pliers to put the new T-nut underneath the rubber in place of the old T-nut. Then, thread a short 1 to 1.5 inch bolt into the new T-nut. Tighten it until the teeth of the new T-nut are drawn into the wood. Then unscrew the bolts and you're done. Now your rail is ready to be recovered with cloth. Begin by laying your new or used rails on the table. Lay one rail on its face with the point of the rubber facing down and away from you. Then stack the rest of the rails against the first with their rubber facing down. Now you need to spread upholstery glue on the backs of the rails. One way to do this is to use a squeeze bottle to spread a bead of glue along the inside edges of the backs of the rails. Then use your fingers to spread the glue so it's flat and even. Don't worry about going all the way to the ends of the rail because you will staple the ends of the cloth down later. Another method is to use spray adhesive. First, spread a strip of masking tape down the center of the backs of the rails, making sure to cover the T-nut holes. Then spray a generous, even coat of glue on the backs of the rails. If you cover a lot of rails, you may want to use an air-powered spray gun to apply the glue. You may need to apply 2 coats of glue in order to achieve a strong hold. Now, lay out a strip of pool tablecloth flat on a table. Lay a rail down on the cloth with its top side down and its back glue-covered side facing you. There should be about a 1/2 inch of cloth visible past the edge of the rail. Then, press the center edge of the cloth firmly onto the back of the rail and flip the rail forward onto its face. Pull out on one end of the cloth and press the cloth firmly into the glue. Then repeat the same process on the other side, pulling out the cloth on one end, then pressing down firmly along the edge. Again, pull out on one side of the cloth and, starting from the middle, press down the cloth on one side. Then repeat the process on the other side. Then flip the rail back onto its top edge. Now, starting from the center of the rail, use one hand to pull the overhanging cloth down and slightly toward the end of the rail, while the other hand presses the cloth into the glue. Repeat for the other side. Again, pull the cloth down and out while the other hand's thumb presses down the cloth. If this is done correctly, all slack will pull out and the cloth will fit tightly around the rail. Once this is done, flip the rail forward again and use a hard object, like the back of a utility knife, to press the cloth firmly into the back of the rail. Then use the utility knife to cut off any excess cloth from the back of the rail. You should make sure that no cloth is covering the T-nuts on the back of the rail. Sometimes pool tablecloth comes in wider strips. This actually makes it easier to cover the rails because you can get a better grip on the excess cloth. And once you've finished one rail, you can use the leftover cloth to cover the other rails. Now it's time to wrap the ends of the rail. First, spray the ends of your rails with water using a squirt bottle or an air sprayer. The water loosens the fibers of the cloth, allowing it to stretch, which makes it easier to get a tight wrap. Some types of cloth contain Teflon and will not soak up any water. This isn't a problem, but it will make it harder to wrap the ends of the rails. Once the ends are wet, you are ready to staple down the ends of the cloth. Any type of staple gun will work, but a hand stapler will get tiring very quickly. It's quick and easy to use an electric or air staple gun. First, hold a rail with its back facing you and its end pointed up. Use a table in your body to hold the rail steady. If the cloth is glued past the end T-nut hole, pull it loose. Then pull the excess cloth straight up and over the end of the rail, making sure that the edge of the cloth lays straight across the rail. Put 2 staples in the end to hold the cloth in place. Then, starting on the rail's top edge, pull the excess cloth in and up with a twisting motion. Then, staple down the top back edge of the rail. There's no need to staple past the T-nut hole. Then pull the cloth over the top corner of the rail and twist it so it lays flat. Put 1 staple here to hold down the cloth. Repeat the same process on the other side of the rail. Now you've finished one end. The corner pocket ends are much easier to wrap than the side pocket ends. For side pockets, the same process applies, but you have to be very precise and careful to pull out all the loose cloth and avoid wrinkles. You may find that you can't get rid of wrinkles on the top edge of the rail. If this happens, your cloth probably wasn't straight when you put in the first 2 staples. You'll have to remove the staples, straighten out the cloth, and try again. If there are some wrinkles on the bottom edge of the rail, this isn't a big problem because they won't be seen once the rails are on the table. Simply put a staple on the bottom edge to hold the cloth in place. Once you've finished wrapping all your ends, all there is left to do is cut off the excess cloth. Cut along the lines of the staples on both the top and the bottom edges of the rail. Then cut along the top to remove the excess cloth. Your final product should have a tight, wrinkle-free wrap with no visible imperfections under the cloth. Now your rails are ready to be put back on the table. Drive in each bolt loosely, then go back and tighten them down for a tight, even fit. Thanks for watching this instructional video. If you follow all these steps, you'll be able to restore your old, worn-out rails to brand new, professional-looking condition.